Hi, my name is Chris Hutchins, and today I want to talk to you about something that affects athletes at every level, from high school competitors all the way to pros. First, let's start with a simple question. Who are you if you can't play anymore? Really, I want you to take a second to think about that. For many athletes, their sport isn't just something they do, it becomes who they are. Their identity is built around performance, statistics, scholarships, championships, and recognition. From a young age, we are praised for what we can do physically. Over time, that role becomes fused with a sense of identity. But what happens when you're injured? What happens when your performance starts to decline? What happens when that last season ends and is over? For some athletes, losing the sport can feel like you've lost yourself in a sense. As a sports psychologist, this is where I believe Gestalt therapy and existential therapy offer powerful tools for supporting athletes who struggle with identity outside of their own sport. So first, let's talk about Gestalt therapy. Gestalt therapy focuses on present movement awareness of integration of the whole person, so your mind, body, and emotions. In athletics, performance culture often teaches athletes to suppress emotions, ignore pain, and push through discomfort without reflection. While resilience is valuable, emotional disconnect can become harmful. I can definitely attest to this myself. An example I think of best is my first year of grad school. I was running a track meet. My knee was killing me, and I mean killing me. And me and my coach kind of had a talk about it, and he said, "Are you not going to run?" I was like, well, as a grad student, I'd be setting a very bad example for the other students. So no, I have no choice but to run. And I limped through a 1500 race. Was it worth it? No, but that is something how we've been taught and instilled through us that push through the pain, keep being resilient. So Gestalt therapy invites athletes to slow down and notice what's happening internally. What thoughts show up before a competition? What physical tension builds in your body? And what emotions are you avoiding? I know for me, before competition, I always felt like I had butterflies and then my stomach would feel empty. So, the emotion of being nervous, all that, I feel like it's things that play a part in you. So, for example, an athlete recovering from an injury may say, "I'm frustrated." In the Gestalt informed session, I would ask you to kind of deepen that awareness. So where do you feel like your frustration starts? In your body? What does it say? If that injured part could speak to you, how would it express itself? One technique used in Gestalt therapy is the empty chair exercise. An athlete might speak to their injury, to a critical coach, or even to a part of themselves they feel afraid of. This helps externalize internal conflict and allows them to experience emotions in real time rather than push them down and avoid them. Throughout this process, athletes begin to understand that they are not just performers. They are whole individuals experiencing sport, not defined by it. So now let's shift to existential therapy. Existential therapy focuses on meaning, freedom, responsibility, and identity. It acknowledges that anxiety is a natural part of being human, especially when facing uncertainty or loss. In the world of athletics, identity foreclosure is common. This occurs when someone commits so fully into a role, such as being an athlete, other parts of their identity never fully develop. When sports are removed, there's a sense of emptiness or even a crisis that takes place. Existential therapy invites athletes to a deep question. Who am I beyond my jersey number? What gives me life, meaning outside of competition? What value define me when no one is watching? Retirement, injury, or deselection from a team tends to create existential anxiety. However, rather than avoiding the discomfort, existential therapy encourages athletes to confront it. It teaches that while they may not control every outcome in sports, they do have the freedom in how they respond and how they define their lives moving forward. An athlete may realize that their value does not disappear when their performance does. Their character, relationships, spiritual spirituality, academic interests, leadership abilities, and personal values exist. Performance may define one season, but it should not define your entire life. When integrating Gestalt and existential approach in sports psychology, we help athletes become more aware of the present while also exploring a deeper meaning. Gestalt helps them reconnect their lives they've already experienced, and existential helps them construct and identify that in a broader way than just athletics alone. The goal is to not make an athlete less competitive. The goal is to make them more whole. Because when athletes understand who they are beyond the game, they often perform with greater freedom. They are less controlled by fear or failure. They are less devastated by mistake. They compete from a place of identity, security, rather than identity to desperation. So, I'll end where I began. Who are you if you can't play anymore? The answer is this. You are still a person with purpose, value, and meaning. As a sports psychologist, it is our responsibility to help athletes develop and discover that truth both on and off the field.